the Los Angeles Kings head home for their first home game and home stand in 16 days, coming off a 4-2 loss to the Seattle Kraken over the weekend. The Penguins, who played in a back-to-back to kick off a 7-game road trip, lost 4-1 to the Washington Capitals over the weekend as well. It's a special night in LA. How did the Kings and the Penguins fare at Crypto.com Arena? Let's find out on this episode and special edition of Penguins Postgame. And it begins now.
You're locked in to Penguins Hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Hey, Shooty scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins Postgame. I'm PPG for PGH, and you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor.
It may not be nighttime right now, but when the game began on Tuesday night, I should say Monday night, it was a night owl club when we got to midnight. So this episode of Penguins Postgame, hosted by myself, Scott McGregor, is a special one. All those dedicated first responders, and of course, the LAFD, the Los Angeles Fire Department, and all the first responders on the scene immediately at those ongoing wildfires. This one's for you. We stand with you, and we're very grateful that we were able to get this one going for the King and the Penguins. We're very grateful that we were able to get this one going on Monday night. Not a good game for the King, but it was a special night nonetheless, which is why, coming from a Penguins fan, the outcome of this game, to me, doesn't really matter. And with that being said, once we have gone through our coaches and our goaltenders and before we get to our goaltenders, take us right up to our first break of the program, I want to take minutes of silence to honor all those who were affected by the ongoing wildfires in Los Angeles. We stand with you, send our condolences and our prayers to all those affected, those who are now homeless and have to be relocated, those who have lost their lives. 27, if my report is correct, because I was listening to it on the Penguins Radio Network, and they had the announcement going on from the Los Angeles Crypto.com Arena about how many people have been lost that they know of, and I believe they said 27 people have been lost. A lot of or have lost their lives, but whatever the case may be, we still want to stand behind them here on Sports for Beginners, and that is why this episode of Penguins Postgame is for those first responders and everyone affected by the ongoing wildfires in Los Angeles and across the Los Angeles community. So, with that being said, before we take the 2 minutes of silence, let's get to our head coaches. Mike Sullivan at Mike Sullivan behind the bench for the Penguins once again. And we also see Jim Hiller behind the bench for the King. We'll get to the goaltending matchup in just a moment. But first, now I would like to take minutes of silence to honor those first responders, the LAFD, the LA Fire Department, for all their greatness and all their help in the Los Angeles community as they battle these wildfires that are ongoing. And one of the main reasons why, yes, one of the main reasons why the game between the Flames and the King on January 8th was postponed and will be made up in April later this year. We'll talk about it all in a little bit down the road as we go. But right now, let's take minutes of silence to honor those who have lost their lives and are looking for a new home as they have lost their home. We honor the 27 men and women, or people rather, who have lost their lives. We honor their families, send our prayers to their families and friends, and our condolences as well. So, with that being said, minutes of silence. What we're going to do right now before we get going between the pipes. This will take us right to our first break of the program. Let's take 2 minutes of silence right now. Thank you. Moving on in our Penguins post-game show to our matchup between the pipes. We will see Alex Nedeljkovic get the start for the Pittsburgh Penguins against David Ritchie, uh, or David Riddick. He will get the start for the King. Darcy Kipper in the backup at backup for the King in this one. And we see Joel Blomqvist in at backup as well. So it will be Nedeljkovic versus Riddick. And with that, we'll get into the game in a matter of moments. But first, let's take a quick word from our friend over at Broadcast Map and Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. We'll break down from scoring to penalties on Penguins postgame when we return for our breakdown segment. The game breakdown comes your way next on Penguins postgame as we break down the Penguins' 5-1 win over the LA King on a day when the King and the Penguins honored the Los Angeles Fire Department and all the first responders for what they were tirelessly doing to make sure that games like this one on Monday night were able to go down at Crypto.com Arena. We thank all of the first responders who have been active in these wildfires and stand with those who have lost their homes and those who have died. We'll be back in just a moment.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Sienna Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Sienna Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Sienna Radio.
The entire community of Los Angeles has faced devastating wildfires that have brought unthinkable hardship and loss of human lives, property, and landscape. The damage is immense and unprecedented. On behalf of all of us at the LA Kings family and all Angelinos, we want to thank all of our firefighters and all of our first responders for risking their lives, risking their lives, for making sure that we're taken care of. We appreciate everything you've done, and we're forever grateful.
They're running into a fire, protecting people that they don't know, never met in their lives yet. They didn't even blink an eye to go and save them. So we can't thank them enough for what they've done and what they're doing for the city of LA.
We're all so grateful for everything that the first responders do, playing for the people who were affected, and the first responders that were out there fighting is important to us.
To everyone that's lost their homes, loved ones, through these tough times, all we can do is come together, support you guys, do whatever it takes to help you guys get back to your lives being normal again.
We understand that together is the only way we will rebuild. The response of the Southern California community has been unwavering. First and foremost has been the brave men and women of the LA and LA County Fire Departments who ran headfirst into the danger. The first responders who jumped into action to save not only their own homes, but homes of family, friends, neighbors, and complete strangers. The countless other fire departments from various regions, states, and countries who brought their heroic efforts here to make a difference performance in the fight, and those in the community who have stepped forward and donated their time, energy, and resources to help in any way possible. Tonight we come together not just as hockey fans, but as members of a larger community, united in our support for those affected by this tragedy. We would like to welcome the brave firefighters from Los Angeles City Fire Department, Station 64, West Covina Fire Department, the Los Angeles County Fire Department, and the Pasadena Fire Department. The groups at Center Ice tonight have asked to pass along that they are extremely grateful for the generosity and outreach that the community has shown them during such a difficult time. Their thoughts and prayers are with all those affected by these devastating fires. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on the resilience and solidarity in our community, we ask that if you're able, please stand and join us in a moment of silence to honor the victims of the fires, not only those who lost their homes and are displaced, but also the 27 who lost their lives and the many more who are still missing. Thank you. Fans, let's show our appreciation one more time for the LA City, LA County, West Covina, and Pasadena Fire Departments, as well as all of the other first responders in attendance tonight.
Beautiful, beautiful message there from the LA King to welcome us back in. Credit all to Sportsnet, NHL, the Penguins, and of course the LA King for that audio you just heard as we came back in the program. Now it's time for us to break this game down, but still, what a great ceremony honoring the first responders of the LAFD Fire Department, the LA Fire Department, the Pasadena Fire Department, and all other departments in between in LA. We stand with you, and this is one of the reasons why I say the outcome of this Kings Penguins game doesn't really mean anything. With that being said, let's get into it, starting with our penalties. We'll get to the scoring in our next segment of the program. And you know what? We're going to do we're actually going to go ahead and do the scoring right off the jump of this one. And then we'll get to penalties before we close out this segment. We'll get to the 3 stars of the game and the game stats coming up in our next segment as well. So without further delay, let's jump into it. We start the game with a penalty to Tanner Janot, a 2-minute minor for tripping. And Kevin Hayes scores. Well, he's actually credited with the goal. 8th of the season for him, a PPG for PG8. But hold on. An LA King player put it in his own net. It's an own goal. So Kevin Hayes will receive his 8th goal of the season unassisted. A PPG for PGH nonetheless. And the Penguins go out in front 1-0, 10 minutes and 9 seconds in. 8 minutes and 38 seconds in, it was Tanner Janot getting a 2-minute minor for tripping. The only penalty which would be called in the first period. So off to the second period we go, but wait. There was another goal scored. It came at 14 minutes and 9 seconds. This one by the captain of your Pittsburgh Penguins, number 87, Sidney Crosby, his 13th of the season, number 605 of his career, but 13th of the season, and only goal in this contest makes it 2-0 Pittsburgh. Matt Grzelcyk on the assist, number 24 on the year for Grzelcyk. Anthony Buvarelli, number 4 on the year for him in assist category. Now, after 20 minutes of play, and the Penguins out shooting the Kings 12-6 at the time. At the time, it's 12-6 after the first 20 minutes of play. The LA Kings are down in the shot total 12-6, but they're also down on the scoreboard 2-0 at the end of one period of play. To the second period we go. In the second period, starting in the penalty side, like we did in the first period, Owen Pickering is called for holding the stick at 14 minutes and 32 seconds. A little later, 29 seconds, and at the 15-minute mark, 15 minutes and 29 seconds to be exact, Pierre-Olivier Joseph is called for tripping. This would lead to the Kings getting on the board, but not before Evgeny Malkin scores his ninth goal of the season. Ninth goal of the season for Evgeny Malkin. Makes it 3-0 Pittsburgh, and that's number 507 in Malkin's career. That's number 507 in Malkin's career. Malkin now has 507 goals on his career and 9 goals in this season. Philip Tomasino picking up assist number 6 on the season, along with Marcus Pettersson picking up assist number 15 on the season. It's 3-0 Pen, or in this case, it's 3-0 good guys for the old 2-9er Phil Borg. I'm just going to go with 3-0 Pittsburgh. 8 minutes and 26 seconds in. Second period. Penguins on top by 3. But it's the Pierre-Olivier Joseph penalty, besides the one taken by Owen Pickering, that puts the LA on the board. The Kings go on the board on the power play as Adrian Kempe scores a PPG for LAK for the LA King, a PPG for LA King for the LA King, scored by Adrian Kempe, his 23rd goal of the season. Anze Kopitar picking up assist number 31 of the season. Jordan Spence picking up assist number 12 on the season. And the Kings have cut into the 3-0 lead. Not only that, they've avoided the shutout. as a result. But the Penguins get that 3-goal lead back before the period ends at the 19-minute mark. We're basically about last minute of play at this point in time, as Cody Glass scores his 3rd goal as a Pittsburgh Penguin. 3rd goal of the season. Kevin Hayes already has 8 goals on the year. Now he's going to get his 4th assist of the season. Owen Pickering, 2 assists on the year. And that is where we would stand. We would go to a 4-1 lead for the Penguins after the second 20 minutes of play, after the 40 minutes of play. Cody Glass, by the way, with that 3rd goal, has now 32 goals in his NHL career. That's right, 32 goals in his NHL career. All right. Shots on goal after 40. 9 for the Penguins. 9 for the Kings. For the game, 21 for the Penguins and 15 for the Kings. The Kings are turning up the heat a little bit. And with that, we go to regulation. In regulation, we'll start in the penalty side. And on that side, Matt Grzelcyk. Already a goal in this one. Actually, no, not a goal. Already an assist in this one. So he unfortunately is going to take a penalty. Fortunately, the Penguins able to kill it off. So it was a big penalty kill for the Penguins. And for those who listen to the game on the Penguins Radio Network, you all know that every Penguins penalty kill is brought to you by Coppers. It's a Coppers penalty kill. Now, I'm not sure what their sideline is there, but we are not sponsored by that. And of course, speaking of that, you're going to know about, no, you already know about it because I've talked about it countless times on any Penguins post-game show, but the sponsors of the play of the game and the 3 stars of the game on the Penguins Radio Network, yeah, those are coming up. Well, maybe I'll reiterate it after our second break of the program. But regardless, let's keep it going here. Grzelcyk with a 2-minute for hooking penalty against Quinton Byfield at 8 minutes and 47 seconds. Penguins escaped that one. And just before Matt Grzelcyk is called for hooking, Anthony Buccarelli gets in on the action and pretty much seals the game. His 11th goal of the season. Christopher Letang, 11th assist of the season. And Sidney Crosby, well, he has a goal in this one. And now he's got an assist. His 38th of the season. 38 assists of the season for Crosby. And I understand that now Sid is actually crossing the leaderboard in some of the NHL history areas. I'll have to look at that after we get out of here on this program. But anywho, 6 minutes and 57 seconds. The Penguins go up by 4, 5-1 on Anthony Buccarelli's 11th goal as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. All right. For the game regulation period, what was our final tally? 11 shots on goal apiece. 11 for the King and 11 for the Penguins. how interesting. 9-9 Penguins and the Kings after 40 minutes. 11-11 apiece, 11 shots apiece in regulation at the end of the regulation period. However, the Penguins for the game, that's what matters. Well, stick around because we're going to bring that to you when we continue on Penguins postgame. But before we actually do send you out of here, let's actually get to the game stats of the game because we'll do the 3 stars, play of the game, plus the shake of the game, and the game puck of the game. Game puck of the game, time permitting. We might do that when we do a look around the NHL. And next up for the Kings and next up for the Penguins in our final segment. But that all is coming up in a matter of moments. Of course, after a 30-second timeout. Coming up after the game stats of the game, which we're going to get to right now, and after this next break, our second break of the program, we are going to get into the stars of the game are, and of course, the play of the game and the shake of the game, the game puck of the game coming up as well. A look around a busy Monday night on Martin Luther King Day. Plus, what's next for the Penguins? What's next for the Kings? All of it still to come on Penguins postgame. With that said, let's get into the stats of the game. Here we go. As mentioned, 11-11 was the final tally in the regulation time period for shots on goal. The Penguins do outshoot. They outshoot the Kings 32-26 in the shots on goal. They won just about 54% of the faceoffs. The Penguins won 4% of the faceoffs, winning 31 out of 58. 47%, just about 47%. The LA Kings were good in the draw, in the faceoff draws, winning 27 out of 58 faceoff. The percentages for Pittsburgh, it was 53.4%, 46.6% for the Kings. The Kings penalty kill 0 for 1 as the Penguins power play connects on the only opportunity they get on the power play. Penguin penalty kill 2 for 3. They kill off 2 out of the 3 penalties they face. And the Kings score on one of those penalties. One of those 3 penalties, I should say. So they go 1 for 3 on the penalty, on the power play. The penalty kill 0 for 1 for the Kings. Power play 1 for 1, 1 for 3, I should say. And the penalty kill for the Penguins for 3 as they kill off of the penalty. The Kings had an opportunity on to make them go up 3 for 3 on the power play. Penalty minute 6 for the Penguins, 2 for the Kings in penalty minute. The Penguins were out hit 18-7, but all even in the blocked shots category at 14 shots blocked apiece. 15 giveaways for the Kings in this one, and only 2 takeaways. 4 takeaways for the Penguins, 13 giveaways for them. And as I said in the blocked shots, they are all even at 14 apiece. 14 blocked shots apiece. So they were even at the end of regulation at 11-11 in the shots on goal by period, even at 9 goal shots apiece on the second period from the period by period, but not yet even for the game, and it never really was even for the game. But both teams, the Penguins and the Canadian and the King, tie in the second and third period. They tie in the second and third period. The Kings and the Penguins tie in the second and third period with 9 goals in the second period. 9 shots on goal in the second period. 11 shots on goal in the third period each. But the Penguins outshoot the Kings 30-26. All right, time now for our second break of the program, and this is where we are going to bring to you what's coming up on the program. Coming up on the program, 3 stars time. If you'd like to get in on the 3 stars matchup, feel free to send an email to Sports for Beginners Podcast 8031@gmail.com, or if you're on Discord, send in to Penguins post-game show interaction your thoughts on the 3 stars, how they turned out. If you agree or you have a different opinion in that, if you think someone else played really well, you can add that in your 3 stars. Same thing goes for the play of the game and the game puck of the game, as well as shake of the game recipients for all these. What are they sponsored by on the Penguins Radio Network? Stay tuned. You're going to find out when we return. Penguins win it 5-1 over the Kings. They sweep the season series 2-0 against the LA Kings. But honestly, this win at Crypto.com Arena is a little bittersweet of a loss for the Kings because, first of all, yes, I understand they're slumping. I understand they are slumping right now, but we gotta remember what happened and what has been happening in LA. That's why this episode is specifically for all those involved in the wildfires in LA, those that are fighting those fires. They're going into the danger, trying to save as many people as they can, and as we know, 27 people have died and passed away rather. A lot of other people are homeless and trying to find their way. Yes, I said find their way to a new home. We stand with you, and with that, Penguins postgame, First Responders edition, as we honor the first responders over the course of the program, continues in a moment. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about when Calgary and LA will do battle in LA this season after their January 8th game was postponed on January 8th. When is that going to happen? Stay tuned, and we'll bring it to you eventually on Penguins Postgame. Back in a moment.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bill, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
The Los Angeles Kings have not played against well, at least not at home. They have not played against the Calgary Flames since pretty much a few days ago, I should say. But they will play their January 8th, 2025 game at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time at home on April 17th, 2025. This will be the game they were going to play on January the 8th, but it got moved because of the postponement. So both of the games that Calgary has won have been in Calgary. And I would like to get into the final scores of that one, but we'd be here all day. As I mentioned off the top of the show, here as we welcome everyone back into the Penguins postgame show, this is a Night Owl Club edition of Penguins postgame, but it's also a dedication one, dedicated to the first responders and those who have been in the fight as of late, working to make sure games like the one we played on Monday night in LA are possible. And we thank those first responders for all that they do when it comes down to it. With that all being said, it is time now for our 3 stars of the game. If you check it out on the Penguins Radio Network, that segment is brought to you by your neighborhood Ford stores. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ford and the Pen. How's that for a powerhouse squad? We are not sponsored by Ford, the official car, truck, and SUV of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But with that being said, our play of the game is also not sponsored by what the Penguins Radio Network is sponsored by, which is Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Here we go with our 3 stars of the game. And we might run out of time in this one, so we might not be able to get to a game puck of the game. But regardless, we're going to get to it anyways. And with that, let's get to this, shall we? Here we go. Your 3rd star in this Night Owl Club game for the Penguins, and first game in 16 days at home for the Los Angeles Kings, is none other than the Penguins captain, number 87, Sidney Crosby. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points on the game. 2nd star is number 72 for the Penguins, Anthony Buvarelli. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. And the 1st star is Kevin Hayes. A goal and an assist, 2 points on the game. So all of those players are Penguin players. Yeah, I would love to give credit to Anthony Buvarelli, but I'm gonna shine some light on the Los Angeles Kings goal scorer Adrian Kempe, because hey, if he doesn't score, this game's probably 6-0 or 5-0 Penguins win. Which, as a Penguins fan, this might be a bit on a bad side here, but I personally think I should we should give some love to the LA Kings here, and I'm gonna swap Buvarelli in with Adrian Kempe as my second star. My first star, however, is going to remain Kevin Hayes, and my third star is going to remain Sidney Crosby. As for the game itself, it says that the 3 stars are Crosby, Buvarelli, and Hayes. So, with that said, those are our 3 stars of the game. The play of the game, as I mentioned off the top of this program segment, brought to you by Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. If you listen to the game on the Penguins Radio Network, as for us, we don't have a sponsor, but that could be coming down the road. If you want to get in on the play of the game action, and of course the 3 stars, or the shake of the game coming up in just a few seconds' time, we are going to ask you, as well as the game puck of the game, where we'd like to ask you to head on over to the Discord server, Penguins post-game show interaction, or send an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231@gmail.com. Once again, that's sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231@gmail.com. And with that all being said, let's get to our play of the game. Play of the game for me, you know what? I'm going to go back to the start the Penguins had. I'm going to go back to the start the Penguins had in this game. And you know what? What's good enough for my play of the game is the goal by Evgeny Malkin in the second period. This made it 3-0 Pittsburgh. 8 minutes and 26 seconds into the game, second period. But you know what? I still think that setup by Pettersson and then Tomasino. You know what? I don't even think Tomasino and Pettersson started this one. I think it was Evgeny Malkin, and I was listening to the highlights as we were on a break, and I believe it was Evgeny Malkin who started this up, and then he finished it for his 9th goal of the season. Gets a nice little pass over to Marcus Pettersson. Pettersson finds Tomasino, and then Malkin finishes it off. And you know what? Gino's goal in this one tonight from Monday night's game, good enough for my play of the game. That's good enough for my play of the game. And again, the play of the game on the Penguins Radio Network, brought to you by Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the shake of the game, inspired by the Milkshake Factory ad, originally created by Jake Gensel, now run by Brian Rust. Whenever Brian Rust scores, you receive half off Rusty Shakes next day at the Milkshake Factory. Brian Rust did not score in this one, and as a result of that, no half off Rusty Shakes at the end of this one as we prepare to get ready for the Anaheim Ducks on Thursday night. Another night owl game. Night owl, night owl, night owl, night owl. Another night owl game is coming up. But before we get there, we have business to attend to with this one. So let's attend to that business. Here we go. In our shake of the game, we are going to give, first for the Penguins, we're going to give a shake of the game to goaltender Alex Nedeljkovic, making 25 saves on the 26 shots. One of the goals was allowed in extra on the power play, not at even strength. But Nedeljkovic still backstopped the Penguins, backstopped the Kings, I should say, to give the Penguins the win, finishing off the night with a .962 save percentage in 60 minutes played. Also, next up for the shake of the game, how about we go to Anthony Buvarelli, one of the 5 men scoring goals in this one. So Anthony Buvarelli is going to get a shake of the game as well. And last but certainly not least for the Penguins, because we're going to do 3 for them. Last but certainly not least, we're going to go ahead and give a shake of the game to Kevin Hayes. A goal, an assist, and 2 points as mentioned in the 3 stars. He was a +1, but I do think he could have done a little bit better in this game, and that's why it's going to be a pick-me-up. Yeah, well, Kevin Hayes, Alex Nedeljkovic. Nedeljkovic had a good game. Hayes had a good game. I also think Malkin, Crosby, and Buvarelli, they had good games. But we're going to go with Buvarelli, Nedeljkovic, and Hayes for the shake of the game for the Pittsburgh Penguins. For the LA Kings, our shake of the game is going to go to Adrian Kempe, Trevor Moore as a pick-me-up. And speaking of pick-me-ups, we're also going to add, as we did for the Penguins, 3. We're going to do 3 for the King. But when we do the game puck of the game, we're just going to do 1 player per team, 1 player by team. And that person who is third to get a shake of the game is also going to get the sole game puck of the game for the Los Angeles Kings. That is none other than David Ritchie. 32 shots faced, 28 saves, 5 goals given up, 4 at even strength, 1 on the power play. Did play the full 60 minutes, but ends the night with a .875 save percentage. And with that said, our sole game puck of the game is going to go for the Penguins to, who's it gonna be? Well, it's gonna go to, it is going to go to the captain. Sidney Crosby is going to get the game puck of the game for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So David Ritchie getting a shake of the game along with his comrades in Adrian Kempe and, of course, Trevor Moore. We are also going to see Nedeljkovic, Hayes, and Buvarelli pick up the shake of the game, and Crosby is going to pick up the game puck of the game. Same thing could be said for David Riddick or David Ritchie. We're going to go with David Riddick. Apologies if I pronounce the last name wrong. Apologies in advance. The Penguins have swept the season series with the LA Kings. But what else went down on a busy Martin Luther King Day in the NHL? Find out that in 30 seconds, as well as what's next for the King, what's next for the Penguins, all of that in 30 seconds. Right after this, from our friends over at On the Ice and Behind the Benches, back after this word in 30 seconds, from On the Ice and Behind the Benches to put a bow on Penguins and King for 2024-2025 season, and on this episode of Penguins Postgame. Stick with us because what's coming up for Penguins Postgame is also coming up next in 30 seconds. Back in 30 seconds.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
Be sure to catch Thomas on the Ice and Behind the Benches every Tuesday in the week, or whenever we can get a show out to you on the Ice and Behind the Benches. A lot of great hockey content and other great content coming on the Ice and Behind the Benches with contributions from us here at Sports for Beginners, some of our bonus content, including our Penguins content like this one and many, many more that we've done over the past couple of days and a couple of games the Penguins have played on are coming on the Ice and Behind the Benches as well. Maybe not the postseason for the Buffalo Bills, but definitely those leading up to the postseason for the Buffalo Bills. And speaking of that, Thomas is also the host on Sports for Beginners of Dolphins Postgame. And as he mentioned in his pregame visit to our before they kick off on Sports for Beginners, ahead of the Ravens and Bills game, they are currently working on as many Maple Leaf games as they can. The goal is to get past 81 games. And of course, they had a special 1-hour program to get you set up for the upcoming final matchup between the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs coming up in April later this year, at the end of the season. Speaking of the Toronto Maple Leafs, that's where we are going to start our Martin Luther King night look around the NHL. Here we go. We are not going to be talking about our 5-1 King victory over the King, as that was the last game played out on the evening. What were the other games? Well, the Seattle Kraken, who the Penguins will play in Seattle on Saturday, took down the Buffalo Sabres 6-4 on Martin Luther King Day. The Maple Leafs beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-3. 6-3 the final in Boston between the Bruins and the Sharks, who the Penguins will face on Monday night next week. The Kraken, just to make sure I have that right, they beat the Buffalo Sabres 6-4 in Seattle. 3-1 the final between the Avalanche and the Wild. The Wild beat the Avalanche 3-1. Goals by Jake Middleton, Yakir Turini, Nathan McKinnon, and Brock Farber. Shootout we needed to go to in Vegas, and the Golden Knights lost to the Blues 5-4 in a shootout. Another 3-1 final. The Islanders beating the Blue Jackets in this one. In the Windy City, we go to overtime between the Hurricanes and the Blackhawks. And the Hurricanes come out on top 4-3. And the Utah Hockey Club, who the Penguins will face in a couple of days on Wednesday next week. So next Wednesday next week, they beat the Jets 5-2 on Martin Luther King night, on Martin Luther King Day. Only a couple of games on the slate on Tuesday, but we'll get to what's next for the King and what's next for the Penguins now. Once again, our final scores from Martin Luther King Day. 6-4 the Kraken over the Sabres, 5-3 the Leafs over the Lightning, 6-3 Bruins over the Sharks, 3-1 Avalanche fall to the Wild, 5-4 Blues beat the Golden Knights, 3-1 Islanders beat the Blue Jackets, Hurricanes beat the Blackhawks 4-3 in the Windy City, and 5-2 Hockey Club beat the Jets. All right. With that said, that brings us to my note for the next 5, which I gotta say was quite an interesting idea that Thomas and I had. Well, actually, it was my idea first of all, and then Thomas said, "You know what? That's a great idea." I also wanted to point out some game notes. Drew Doughty was out of this game, and he remains out for the Kings with an ankle injury, and there is no update on when he will make his season debut after suffering the ankle injury during the preseason Kings game against the Golden Knights back in late September on Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. And of course, as we know, the last time these two teams played, the Penguins came out on top in overtime 3-2 back in December in Pittsburgh. Alex Lafreniere out with an upper body injury. Andreas Engelland and Akil Thomas were scratched in this one. They would not play in this game against the Penguins. Nedeljkovic, as we know, got the start. Joseph was available for this game, and that's why he was in. Ricard Raquel, though, just to add some quick notes on that, he was out due to personal matters with the family. And with that said, let's get to it. Let's put a bow on this one with our next 5. Let's start with the King, since they have a couple of games still in January. They're back at it on Wednesday, that's tomorrow, against the Florida Panthers at 10 p.m. Eastern as they continue a 2-game homestand against the Panthers, I should say. They will then head to Florida a little bit later, but not before they take on the Columbus Blue Jackets this Saturday on the 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern in Columbus, Ohio. Then they are off to the Motor City on Monday, next Monday, this coming Monday, the 27th of January, to take on the Red Wings. Game time at 7 p.m. Eastern, same time as the Columbus Blue Jacket game. We mentioned the Florida Panthers. They will play the Panthers once again, this time in Florida at 7 p.m. Eastern. The following Wednesday after this coming Wednesday, which is next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, they will be in Florida to take on the Panthers after playing against the Panthers in LA this Wednesday, tomorrow, as of the time of our recording. And of course, they will take on the Tampa Bay Lightning to close out January, when they take on the Lightning in Tampa Bay the next night on Thursday night, right after their game against Florida on Wednesday night in Florida. Meanwhile, for the Pittsburgh Penguins, as that's taken us to the hour mark of the program, and you know what? It's fine, because we're wrapping up now. The next 5 game nights for the Penguins are the Anaheim Ducks on Thursday. They'll take on the Anaheim Ducks as more Night Owl action continues on our Penguins post-game area. That's their next matchup after 2 nights off. Then they get 1 night off before they play an late afternoon game, early evening game against the Seattle Kraken in Seattle at 4 p.m. Eastern. Late night action returns on Monday when they take on the San Jose Sharks from the Shark Tank. At the same time, they played the LA Kings this Monday, last night, at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, down in San Jose. Then we've got the Utah Hockey Club at 9:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. So, Night Owl game in San Jose on Monday, afternoon game on Saturday, night game this Thursday, and another night game next Wednesday against Utah. And then that'll wrap up the Penguins' 7-game road trip as they prepare for a 2-game homestand before a 2-game road trip sends us to the Four Nations tournament. And kicking off that homestand to wrap up the next 5, our action against the Nashville Predators. It's the final time the Predators and the Penguins will play. Actually, is it? Is it the final time? Is it the final time? Have we played the Predators before? I don't think we have, but let me just check. Let me just double check. We want to make sure we have that right. I'm pretty sure we did, but I'm just going to double check. Have we? We indeed have, and the Penguins have won that game against the Predators. That was back before Christmas on December 19th. All right. So they will do battle for the final time this year on February 1st. The Four Nations tournament is coming around the corner, and it begins next month after the final, and the Penguins will go to that break in February. after their final game in a 2-game road trip that's a back-to-back. Find out where that is on our next episode of Penguins Postgame. That is going to do it for this episode of Penguins Postgame. I am Scott McGregor. Love one another. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Before we get to, as always, Let's Go Pens, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. And once again, as I want to remind everyone, this show is indeed for all those first responders who made this possible and continue to fight the ongoing wildfires in Los Angeles, across the Los Angeles community, and of course, the country of Los Angeles in California. We thank everyone for joining us here today, even if they're first responders as well. We thank you for everything that you do and hope that everything continues to go well as we navigate through this terrible, terrible time in LA during hockey time. Hockey is indeed for everyone. Even though this is not nighttime, the game was at night, and it was a Night Owl Club game. Love one another, as I said before. Good night, and Penguin fans, let's go Pen. As Mike Lang always likes to say, when the Penguins win, ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. I will catch you on the flip side on Friday after the Pens and the Ducks go head to head for the final time this year. Yes, I said the final time this year on Thursday. Thursday night in Anaheim. It's 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central. (9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. We've got the Ducks and the Penguins next time on Friday after the Pens and the Ducks. The game is on Thursday. Our recap comes your way Friday. I will talk to you then. Let's go Pens.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it.